Hi, I'm Tobi Henney and I'm here with Ivan and we're going to show you how to get this everyday lived-in liner look. I'm going to put Mercier Radiance primer all over the skin, and this is going to sit really beautifully under the makeup. This product really shines through under any foundation, so I highly recommend it. I'm going to apply the Collagen Dough Moisture Foundation, and I'm going to start by popping it on the center of the face, under the eyes, and pulling that outwards. And I love this foundation because it's more like a tint. It's very sheer, it's buildable. And I do have quite a light approach to skin. I don't like to use too much product. I like the girls to look really healthy and natural. So next I'm going to come in with the Nars Soft Matte Complete Concealer. And this is a really nice product to use just like around the edges of the nose where you get a little bit red. And again, using my fingers. And just if you've got any little blemishes, you can use this product and just tap it on, melt it in, buff away the edges. So next I'm going to come in with one of my favorite products. This is for eye brightening and it's the YSL Touche Éclat. The difference between this and a concealer is that you need to pop this more on the hollows where you tend to get little eye bags, and what it's going to do is bounce that light. You don't need to put it right up to that lower lash line, more in that hollow of the eye. I also like to put a little bit in the center of the forehead just for some brightening, a little bit above the Cupid's bow, and a little bit on the chin. And I really like to keep that part of the face, the T-zone, really light and bright. You don't want your whole face to be the same color. You want to have a little bit of shading and then the brightness in the center to make you look more awake and refreshed. Okay, so I'm going to come in with a cream contour product, which is the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate, which is another one of my cult favorites. It just seems to work on all skin tones. There's two different shades. There's number 1 and number 2. I'm using Intensity 1 on Ivan, and it's beautiful just to buff into the cheekbones. And then I always put a little bit just on the temples and just a little bit on that jawline. And I'm using my MAC Cosmetics Duo Fiber Brush just to buff that into the skin. And you should always start at the top of the ear and just come down to just after where the eye ends. You shouldn't bring your contour in too heavy. I like to keep this part of the makeup really soft. I'm just going to do a little bit on the sides of the nose just to create a little bit more dimension. It's always nice to carry that up a little bit towards the brow bone as well. And if you feel like you need to melt the product in a little bit, come back in with your fingers and just disperse the product. Okay, so now we're going to pop a little bit of highlighter onto the tops of the cheekbones using the same palette, the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate. And I absolutely love this because it's a see-through gloss finish. So it doesn't have the metallic or the sparkle finish. What it does is just make the girls look like they have an inner glow. It's always nice a little bit on the Cupid's bow, and close your eyes, and a little bit on the inner eyes. Okay, so next we're going to just prep the lips for later on when we come in for lipstick. And I'm popping Mecca Cosmetica Lip Deluscious onto the lips. This is a beautiful, nourishing lip balm. And it's even really pretty just to wear in the day because it enhances the natural lip shade. So we're going to do some work on the brows now. We're going to go for a really natural, fluffy brow. And one product I've always had in my makeup kit is the MAC Cosmetics Eyebrows. And it's a crayon, so it means you don't have to sharpen it. You just wind it up. So what I do is I just pop it through the brow, brush it through, and that just disperses the product a little bit. I always like to square off the brow. It's a good place to start. Sometimes your hair can be quite fine in that area as well. So it's just going to give you a little bit more definition. Feather out the end really softly. If you need to blend that with your finger, go for it, because you don't want to have a harsh edge. You want it to look very natural. And what I like to do is I come back in with my Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Pro palette. I'm going to just use an angle brush and pick up a little bit of blonde, run that through the brow, and again, making hair-like strokes. Now I'm just going to finish the brow with Glossier Boy Brow in blonde. And I'm just lightly running that through. And this is just going to set all the brow hairs in place so they don't move throughout the day. I'm just applying Laura Mercier's Secret Brightening Powder under the eyes. And I'm using a Nars Pro makeup brush, and it's a nice dense brush, and it's pushing the product in and setting everything that I've done in place. I don't like to use too much powder on my girls, mainly just in the T-zone, just to stop the shine. But I love to keep the cheekbones and everything else looking really glossy. So we're going to start on the eyes now. We're going to begin by curling the eyelashes, and just make sure that you get all the eyelashes into the curler. You want to make sure the entire lash line's really even. So because today we're going to create a really effortless, everyday, lived-in liner look, I'm going to keep the eyelids really soft and natural. I'm using a 217 MAC Cosmetics fluffy brush just to apply Groundwork Paint Pot, which is also by MAC. And these products are great just for an eye base. You can wear them on their own, or you can also use them under eyeshadow. Today, because we want the look to be really easy and achievable in the mornings at home, we're not going to do too much eye work. So I'm going to show you how you can create this beautiful eye just using a few products. What I love about this product is it's really blendable, creamy, so it goes on really easily, and then once it dries it doesn't really move. So one of my favorite liners is a chocolate or a bronzy color liner. The reason I love these shades is because they're quite soft, they're a little bit more natural, they're not as overpowering as black, and you can wear them from day to night. And I'm just running this along the upper lash line. It's got a nice metallic finish, which I love. And then I'm coming in with a Charlotte Tilbury makeup brush, and I'm smudging that just so it looks a little bit more effortless. So now it's mascara time, and I'm using Maybelline's Lash Sensational Mascara, and I'm putting that on with a MAC Cosmetics fan brush. This is going to let me really work the mascara into the root of the lash on either side. Creates volume, a little bit intensity, and it lasts really well. So I love using the fan brush because as an artist, it's a really great way to make sure that every single eyelash is coated top and bottom. You can also really work the product along the lower lash line. Great way to make sure that you don't miss the little fine baby hairs on the outer eye. So now that we've finished with the eyes, I like to come in with blush at the very end, just before the lips, because I can gather how much blush I want or don't want to use. Sometimes if you do blush earlier on, you can overpower the look too much. So this is Stila Cream Blush in Peony, which is a classic, and this is just going to give a little bit more of that inner glow. And you kind of want the look to look like you've just been out in the sun, with a little bit of a flush. One of my secret weapons is the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector Liquid. I'm going to use Opal on Ivan. Again, it's a cream. You can probably tell by now I really love working with cream products over powder. Powder's always great if you want something with longevity. When I shoot girls for swim shoots, I've shot with Tash Oakley, Alexis Wren, to name a few. I always use cream products. We want the skin to look really, really dewy, and that's going to add to their glow. So I'm going to finish off with a little bit of a lip stain. I don't want the lip to be too overpowering because the eyes, we've got the liner that's going to look really lived in, so we don't want to do a strong lip with this look. We're going to use the Nars Velvet Matte Lip Pencil in Do Me Baby. And because there's a bit of hydration on the lips, we're not going to need to use too much product. I'm going to go back in with my finger and really press that product into the lips. It's also really nice to come back in with the Nars concealer and clean that lip line up. Another secret weapon, a long time secret weapon of mine, is MAC Cosmetics Soft and Gentle. I love to finish with this on the inner eyes. Again, this is going to make your eyes look really crystal clear and awake. On the Cupid's bow. A little bit under the brow bone, but not too much. Another favorite spot to pop the highlighter is on the center of the eyelids. I think the secret to making the highlight really pop is layer. So we've got the Tom Ford, then we've got the Becca, and now we've got the MAC Soft and Gentle. And remember we started with the Laura Mercier Radiance Primer. So that was really our foundation to create this glowing look. And if I was sending Ivan off for a red carpet event, I would make sure that I've properly set the T-zone. So this is Makeup Forever HD powder, which is a great powder to use if you're going out, if you're gonna be photographed, and you really don't want that shine to pop up in your photos. And again, like I said before, it's really important just to stick to the T-zone and let everything else really glow. Thanks so much for watching.